Murphy Austin Adams Schoenfeld LLP, focusing on business law and commercial litigation, is proud to support Rob on the Road, Region Rising. More information available at murphyaustin.com.
Coming up on Rob at Home.
What this show is about is in the in-between, that there is no in-between because that's where we're alive. And so what can we do today as human beings?
For all of us, if we can get past the fear mind, which is like chatter, chatter, chatter in our heads, if we can get out of the fear mind and into like the intentional slowing of and reflection, I think we're just gonna arise as this incredibly more creative, self-reflective society.
Through disasters comes an opportunity for gratitude and for recognizing people in a new light.
Rob at Home starts now.
And now, Rob on the Road, exploring Northern California.
Welcome to my home. It's Rob, and it's great to see you. Inviting you to spend the next half hour with me and two inspirational women. You know, there is so much strength when we share our stories, and you're about to hear what matters most to two courageous Californians. Virginia Varela has decades of experience in an industry filled with ups and downs. Just wait until you hear what Virginia has to say about the world today. But we begin with artist Maren Conrad. Maren's murals are all across Northern California. They are happy spaces, but Maren is no stranger to tough times, including the location of this mural she is currently creating. In many ways, Maren is used to making something beautiful from difficult situations.
What are you thinking now? What is this time doing for you?
Well, the wonderful thing about this is I think everybody for the first time might be having to go through by like a force of nature what creatives do actively pretty regularly, which is isolate themselves because creativity comes from a place of stillness. And so as the world's become still, it's really wonderful how many people have found a creative voice that maybe weren't expressing that creative voice before. Artists are used to living in uncertainty. We never know where the next check's coming from. You know, just because we got one awesome project doesn't mean we're going to get 6 other awesome projects. So we're always kind of in this phase of having to be okay with not knowing what the next 2 months of our lives are going to look like.
And that's good.
Because it's originality, and you only find originality from uncertainty and trying to think of things in a new way, in a way that you're not just performing the same task over and over again. You're finding new ways and new subject matters and new muses and kind of the excitement of not knowing and being able to take all that fear, but be able to rein it in as like horses that are drawing our creative carriages instead of being trampled by them underfoot. You know,
wow, that's good, Maren. And also I love that imagery because as an artist, as a creative, you always are, like you said, having to make that focus of uncertainty a draw to positivity. And so for people who are just blanketed with fear right now and with this just concern, we can change our perspective into, like you said, rein it in and make it toward positivity or creativity.
Well, harness the fear to be able to change your life going forward. You know, being able to use fear as a catalyst for change in positive ways in your life. You know, I think a lot of people with their families right now are realizing how much time they were not spent at home. Like, we're all kind of in this really awesome moment of a collective think about what do we want our lives to look like coming out of this. Living intentionally is really awesome. And I'm taking this time to find intentionality instead of being so hurried all the time that I'm get in a routine of just performing tasks without really thinking about them. So, I mean, this time being stillness, reflection, I think is just like this wonderful opportunity for all of us. If we can get past the fear mind, which is like chatter, chatter, chatter in our heads, if we can get out of the fear mind and into like the intentional slowing of in reflection, I think we're just going to arise as this incredibly more creative, self-reflective society, which this could be the best, worst thing that ever happened. I try to not say this is bad or this is good. I try to say this is, and now what? And like, we are in a global pandemic. We're all forced to stay at home. Instead of saying we shouldn't have to be here, we shouldn't be doing this, oh my gosh, only if somebody would have or could have. If we're just like, this is like, we're here, now what? All these things that were consuming my life, they've all stopped now, and now I get to be in this space of really redesigning my life going forward with intentionality of what I want it to look like.
I love that. And it is such a good reminder that while the normalcy of life is on pause, that we are not waiting to live. We are living now, and we can't put our lives on hold because this is the moment of living. Living is for the now. And fear, which is a committee in our brains, right, of all these things that, I love the acronym for fear, false evidence appearing real. And while the evidence with the coronavirus is real, the fear around it, what we can control is by making fear another acronym, and that's face, everything, and rise. And this is not the first time you have had to go into a cocoon and come out a butterfly.
Right.
You've mentioned that a second ago with coming out as a butterfly from this, but you've had to reinvent many times through some fearful things.
And this is one of those moments where instead of being sad, for your viewers that maybe don't know my backstory, my husband was fatally shot by a burglar that he interrupted when my son was 6 months old, many years ago. My son's going to turn 16 this summer. I can't believe
that. I cannot believe he's going to be 16.
I know. Having that devastating of a loss, having everything that was normal about my life come crashing down in a single day, I think I learned some things, have resilience, and to not live in fear. Especially when somebody intrudes on your home space. And, my husband just came home on a Friday in the middle, at 1 p.m. because we were going to go on our first date night since having a child, and my brother-in-law was coming to pick up Hunter with my sister, and we were going to get to have a date night, something that's such a normal thing after having a baby, that my whole normal died that day along with Dennis, and having to find my own way on the planet to get through that in a murder trial. And my whole house was gone because, there were so many bullet holes, and it became a crime scene instead of being my home, so my reality got upended from like, my house wasn't even my safe place anymore. I had no.
I'm so sorry that happened.
Well, that's the interesting thing is I've been sorry it's happened, but in this moment, there's a gratitude of having survived that, because when something like this comes along, I feel like, oh, I know this space. I know I'm strong. I know I can get through it. I know my family's going to be okay. I know that instead of getting lost in the shoulds and woulds and coulds, I just have to say this is, and now what? And my now what is painting. My now what is creating in this career. I don't know if I would have ever focused on, honestly, if tragedy hadn't struck. I found the courage in being like, I've already lost everything. Like, seriously, there's nothing left to lose. Like, I want to live in my fullest expression because I could die any day. And I think a lot of people are having that fear right now, but they're also having that opportunity to be like, die any day from somebody who didn't even know that they were sick, right? Like, it's not somebody did that to you. It's somebody didn't know they had a virus, came into contact with you. Maybe you didn't know you had any problems with your immunity, and you get horribly sick, which is a terrifying thought. But it's also this awesome thought of like, you're right, I'm on a trapdoor. That's true. We're all on trapdoors. We don't know when our trapdoor is going to get pulled. So what do I want to achieve in this time, in my space, on my unknown time? We don't even know if it's limited or unlimited. On this unknown time I have on this planet, to make it the best I possibly can. What is my fullest expression? And I think those are like the most wonderful gifts from the universe, to slow down and to be able to really sit with that thought and that question. And it's going to be different for every single person.
I love what you said about I know this space. And that's a powerful sentence. I know this space. I really believe that this is a period where we are in a crisis of calling.
Yes.
And I don't think that that's the lead of what happened, but it's what's happening and could happen in our lives if we step out of fear and into that thing that has been in us forever, that we have wanted to do. Like you said, after what happened in your life, you knew you wanted to do art and you said, this is it, I'm doing it. And I think that now, if there is something in someone who is feeling pulled, like worried about the next step, this is the perfect opportunity to answer what your life has been saying for you to do. Because when you do, everything falls in line. And everything you worried about, when you step outside of your comfort or discomfort zone, because we may not realize that that zone is keeping us in areas that are not comfortable, you can grow and you can walk toward your dreams.
I love that what you said about it being a crisis and a calling. And I mean, I'm not trying to downplay the severity of this issue.
I'm not either. I'm really not. I'm just trying to find the silver lining.
Right.
What this show is about is in the in-between, that there is no in-between, because that's where we're alive. And so what can we do today as human beings? What are you doing today?
I actually have a wonderful job today. I am finishing a mural of acorns and oak branches out at Sutter Hospital triage unit that will be opening next week. That is for COVID patients. And
Wow.
Acorns are a symbol of new beginnings. So I have been working on this for 2 years. I had no idea, but every day I go in, I have my temperature checked, I put on PPE, I am in a little bubble, so I'm protected, alone in this corridor, painting something to say thank you to the doctors and nurses that are risking their lives every day. And also for the families that are going to be coming into this emergency unit to have a semblance of, like, I think heritage oaks are one of the most amazing symbols of home.
With what you went through 2 years ago, and then you started this idea of the acorn mural, and who knew then it would end up where it is now.
Right.
It's the path that weaves through all this. You can't make it up.
No, and it makes you feel like when you have that desire within you, when you have something that you feel like you want to say, whether it be visually or in a song or in a sentence or in a letter or with a business contact or in whatever way in your life, you can trust your gut. You know, not your fear-based chitter-chatter, but your like true gut of like, I think this is the right thing. It's a symbol that I think is really relevant to this time for all of us, which is like, we're all oak trees. You know, we're going to like we're rooting in a little deeper right now. We're going to survive this. We're going to be strong at the end of it. And the stories that we'll have to tell from this time period.
You have done what you do so well because, and I think the reason this happens is because every step of the way you do that next right thing in your life, just those small next right things. And those small things end up being leaps. And especially when you do them, what could have been in a place of fear. And so I just felt it was so important to talk to you, to hear where you were today, to take your emotional temperature, because I knew that, and I felt that you would just have such a story, but I had no clue about the acorn and the strength. And, you know, all those oak trees that we see standing, they may have had pieces break off. They've gone through many difficult seasons. but they still come back and they're still standing, and we will too.
And maybe this is a drought for all of us, but it's not a drought we can't survive.
Virginia Varela would agree that we can survive all of this, but that our future depends on how we handle the now. Virginia is the leader of Golden Pacific Bank. She got involved in banking during the savings and loan crisis in the 80s and spent 22 years with the Federal Reserve. You can bank on the fact that Virginia can account for good times and bad.
With the payroll protection program and the loans that are being given out, how quickly was your bank on the front line of that?
I'm really proud that our bank was one of the first banks in the entire nation to get funding out and approved.
Wow.
And the reason for that is because, first of all, we were already an SBA preferred lender. So that means we had access to the electronic portal with the SBA. So that gave us a leg up. But also we knew our customers. We didn't have to verify their identity or go through a lot of the steps for security reasons because we had a relationship already developed. So
how much did you give out, or how much were you able to fulfill?
Well, we gave almost 90 small businesses funding in the local area. And that's the advantage of getting them to have funds to pay people so they can keep them employed. And what happened, Rob, is that we gave out small amounts. So you hear about some criticisms now of the PPP program, that the funding went dry so quickly, and that there's a argument that some of the banks lent out to the larger borrowers first because they got more fee income. We didn't do that. We had a relationship, and as a matter of fact, we went to the smaller businesses first, and we made loans that average were about $112,000 each. That's really small. So that's really going directly to small businesses with small payrolls with jobs.
Will that money be turned as quickly, do you know, as the previous allocation?
We're hoping that it gets turned around very quickly. The concern I have is it still won't be enough. And the concern I have is in the long run. These are kind of Band-Aids, and there's a lot of hurting small businesses. So I would emphasize that you really need to have a relationship with a lender, with a financial services business of some kind, credit union, bank, some lender, because I think over the long run, this is making us appreciate how fragile things can be and how you may need some stability in tough times, especially in times of disaster.
You know, all you have to do is close your eyes and imagine how things were before this happened. And then think about your daily routine. You realize how many small businesses really are there, and they are the backbone of what we have in our region and our country. Small businesses really, it's heartbreaking to think about the impact on a small business right now, but it's also incredibly rewarding to realize how important they are.
Yes, that's exactly right. And I think there's a new appreciation for those people that we consider essential. I mean, how many of us are now saying, hey, that grocery store worker, they're there for me. You know, the bank teller, they're there for me. In our bank, we have all of our branches open. We've got all of our staff in there. And I've asked them to be safe in this process. But, you know, some of them have talked to me and they want to be there. They want to help provide services. And I think what's happened is the small businesses are really the lifeblood. And we're starting to think, hey, I like that guy that pours my coffee in the morning. I like going to a restaurant and getting served. I appreciate someone doing my hair and nails. You know, all of these people that I've taken for granted. and now aren't available, it's really making you think twice about your life, about who's included in your world on a daily basis, and makes you appreciate things. So I hope in some ways that this makes us kind of transform and appreciate who is in our lives and all the things that we have to be grateful for. And I also hope it raises awareness of the small bankers like us, like this community bank, how much we provide in the scheme of things. And going forward, I'm thinking that we can all learn from this experience.
Definitely. That is one of the things that I hope remains. I hope what remains when things improve is some of the appreciation that we have brought in to our souls during this period, if we choose to.
Yes.
And I have to say that I'm deeply concerned about a lot of our small businesses. And this question is hard to ask, but are they going to make it? Do you think small businesses are going to survive?
My heart goes out to small businesses. Some will not survive. You know, it's unfortunate, but that's the way of the world. And I would strongly urge any small business to try to reinvent themselves. People are being innovative. And I just think that there's a great sense of entrepreneurship in the small business community. We will survive. Many of us will survive, but what form that takes, I just don't know. So I think every industry, every small business has to really be introspective, you know, put on their thinking cap, think about how can I best provide service? That's the key. If you could provide a service, then you can live through this period and thrive in the long run. And that's
that's good. Say that again. Bring that home.
I think it's very key to think about how you can provide service as a small business. So it's not only how can you get back to what you were doing before, but how can you serve in today's world, in the world next month, in the world next year. Think about being innovative and providing service to your fellow neighbors. And if you provide service, if you have that niche of what people need and can give back to them, you will thrive. You will have money and you will be okay. But it's the key is looking at how best to serve others. That's my thought.
Virginia, you know, I really feel that you are a person of service and that serving, it seems to be your calling.
You know, thank you for recognizing that. And it takes one to know one.
Well,
Yes.
but it's clear about, I see this in you. Do you feel that way?
Absolutely. I have had a very rich, full life. I still do. And I'm so grateful to my wonderful, rich life that I want to give back and share it. So I do have a lot of friends. I have a lot of community. And I also enjoy my job. I enjoy working here in this community bank because I do feel that it's a service position. When they came out with what businesses would stay open, I feel proud that financial services and community banks were considered essential to the fabric of our community. I really feel that calling. I want to help small businesses. I want to help people provide jobs. So I think of that in a lot of different ways. And I do have different phases of my life. And over the years, I've noticed I'm happiest personally when I'm giving to others. Rich in spirit, baby.
That's what I thought you meant.
I'm rich in spirit.
What would you say to someone watching who is, besides all of the other concerns of the day, feels hopeless financially? I know that feeling. I've been there. I've been in places in my life, Virginia, where I was completely broke.
Yes.
And I'm talking, you know, in more ways than one. I found the way out was service, getting in, doing something for someone else. And when you do it for that reason, then these doors begin to open up. A path appears in the forest.
Correct.
That there wasn't before. And you have to step out of that discomfort zone of feeling like there's no hope,
Exactly.
into the unknown of service. And when you do, things appear. It is the strangest thing.
It's exactly right. And we're all suffering together. I mean, this pandemic has hurt so many people in so many different areas. I don't judge. You look at someone living on the streets versus wealthy. I mean, everybody's a human being. We're all hurt right now. But just like we're hurting as a community, there's going to be success going forward if we can act as a community. This has to be a group response. We all have to assist each other. Have hope. We are going to get through this. The sun will rise tomorrow. We're going to be okay. The roses are blooming. The birds are singing. This too shall pass. So just remember to keep going forward.
Virginia, Varela, and Maren Conrad, thank you so much. Like us and connect with us on Facebook on the Rob on the Road page. And we'll see you next time right here on Rob at Home.
Murphy Austin Adams Schoenfeld LLP, focusing on business law and commercial litigation, is proud to support Rob on the Road, Region Rising. More information available at murphyaustin.com.